going. Okay. Um, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. I am going to share my screen with the document and I'll give the show over to Christine. So give me one sec here. Okay, hopefully you guys are seeing that.
Yes, we can see it.
Great, because like I said, I can't see anything.
Neither can I.
Oh,
And
yeah,
and
funny
on that note,
Christine.
and on that note, Happy New Year, everyone. I will be going through whatever's on the rules of thumb. So for those of you who cannot see it, you should be getting as Marika said, a copy later. I did send an email with the text in there. So if you have issues with PDFs and everything is written out just in an email as well. If anybody has difficulties with it, you have my permission, Marinka, to share my information so people can reach out. I heard a couple of names that I recognized from Puerto Rico from last year. So hi again to all of you folks. I am here so that we can mostly talk about interacting in a respectful manner. And some people may think, oh, this is just for volunteers who are working with us as people with disabilities. But you know what? People with disabilities sometimes make some boo-boos with other people's with disabilities. Even though we, think we know better all the time and we think that we've got it all under control because we know how we want to be treated, that doesn't necessarily mean that we always are on our best behavior, even though we also mean well and we may make mistakes as well. So I'm hoping that this will be informative for everyone. I'm also hoping that for the para paddlers who are on the recording on Zoom here, that you will also be willing to contribute your thoughts and feelings on some of the rules that are given. If you have caveats, if you feel that something is not being conveyed in quite the way you think it should be, then please feel free to say so. Just say your name and I'll recognize you and we can do that. But I think we only have an hour, is that right? Um, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and so let's get started. We're going to wind up at the end of the rules of thumb with the idea, the framework that respect, clarity, content, and flexibility are the essentials. And we're going to remind everyone that when you are not sure, you ask, you wait, and then you adapt. So if you don't remember anything except those things, you should be able to be great, not only in Puerto Rico during the Paradragon event, but in future Paradragon events and out and about in your lives when dealing with people of differing abilities and just people in general. Because if you follow these rules of engagement, basically, I think you'll find that for the most part, these work with pretty much anyone. Okay, so we're going to learn how to support athletes with disabilities respectfully and without assumptions while still being prepared for genuine safety or medical concerns. The word genuine is in there because unfortunately there are circumstances where when we as people with disabilities are in a space, there's often an assumption that our disability has some sort of medical component, and sometimes it does, but that doesn't mean that even if it does, that we are medically fragile or about to keel over at a moment's notice, and people don't have to be worried about us on a continuing basis. Just think about your really a very active uncle, right? He's been active all his life, right? And he's into hiking and he's into all this stuff. And then all of a sudden he gets a bum leg because he falls, okay? And he's still that uncle is still the way he is. He's going to get up, he's going to get out there because he doesn't care. He's going to find a way to do this, right? And you go over and you're like, Uncle Jim, what are you doing? What are you doing, Uncle Jim? Your leg is all screwed up. What are you crazy? Your Uncle Jim's going to be ticked because Uncle Jim knows that he's going to take control. He's always been like this. He loves his hiking. He's going hiking and he's figured out a way to do it. Okay. And now everybody's acting like Uncle Jim is a different dude because he hurt his leg. Okay. So now you're dealing with people with disabilities who most of us have been either disabled for most of our lives. Some of us have had accidents or illnesses whereby we've only been disabled for a few years, and some of us are still getting, used to being a person with a disability in this society. But for the most part, you'll find that whoever somebody was before they had some sort of health issue that gave them a disabling something, they're going to be the same person inside. Their attitudes are going to be the same. They may be struggling for a while, but in all likelihood, as long as they receive the right kind of support and the right kind of training, they're going to be back. Okay. And no, I realize that doesn't always happen, but for the most part, you're going to find that the same person that was there prior to disability is the same person who's there after disability. And that also means that those of us with disabilities, we're a cross section of the population. Some of us are, wild and wacky. Some of us are, more timid and introverted. But we run the gamut. And so you have to look at the person, not the disability. They will show you, the term, if people show you who they are, believe them. That's, usually that's in a bad context, but this is in a good context. Let people show you who they are. Let them tell you who they are. And in all likelihood, if you follow, excuse me, that lead, you'll be good. So I'm going to provide a simple, adaptable, and content-based toolkit that should work across disabilities, cultures, and communication styles. Now, of course, if there's somebody with a language barrier and you don't know their language, okay, it is always a good idea to try to find somebody who knows the language or knows some of the language. There are also things now, Google Translate is pretty good. It takes a little getting used to. It's not always right. There have been some embarrassing circumstances, but at least you're trying. So the universal rules of thumb for respectful interaction. Okay, now you'll notice that when you get if you see it on the screen and when you get it later, it says volunteers cannot and should not. Okay, but as I said before, this goes for those of us with disabilities and those of us who are not volunteers who just happen to be there as well. This is just people skills, okay, of a certain type. So you cannot and try not. Cannot and try not. Oh my goodness. Okay. I've been up since a really early. Okay. So you cannot and should not try to memorize disability specific behaviors for every individual or every combination of disabilities. That is a failing combination. That's a failing equation because every blind person is different. Every person who's deaf is different. Every person in a wheelchair is different. If you meet one person with a disability, you've met one person with a disability. Okay, so yeah, there's a few things across the board. A lot of people who are blind use canes, a lot of people who are blind use dog guides, but that's pretty much where things end because we're people first in all of our better and worse. So, we are going to have a universal framework that you can use with everyone. And these rules work across disabilities, cultures, languages, and comfort levels. So start with the person, not the disability. You've heard that before, okay? You've heard it a lot, but you have to live it, okay? So disability does not automatically mean safety risks automatically or fragility or medical concerns unless the athlete tells you otherwise or it is noted in their official documentation. You have to assume capability, ask about preferences, So, for example, would you like any support getting onto the dock? Do you want orientation or would you prefer none? Is there anything you'd like me to keep in mind? Once you've asked, follow their lead every time. Now, if you're the listen, you're if you're a volunteer or you're a parapaddler, you're getting to know all these new people, or you're getting to know people that you met before and you just can't remember. There's nothing wrong with jotting down a few things. Okay, so and so can't stand it when I grab their shoulder, or so and so, would prefer that I, take go on their left side than their right side. That's perfectly fine, because sooner or later you'll start getting used to it, and you won't have to ask. And it will soon become second nature, just like you see one of your friends coming across the street, and you're going to know, okay, so and so doesn't like it when I ask how things are with her mother-in-law. So, you'll start knowing, how you can behave with particular people. All right, so you introduce yourself, you pause, and you let the person guide the interaction. And every interaction begins the same way or very similarly. This is not a script, it's just a framework. So, regardless of disability. So, name, position, and purpose. Hi, I'm Carlos. I'm one of the volunteers. I'm here if you need anything. Then pause and let the athlete decide what happens next. You basically offer and then you wait. People will tell you what they want or don't want. Okay, consent before contact. This is extremely important. This is one of the biggest pet peeves that those of us with disabilities have, because on a frequent, probably daily basis, for those who are us are out and about, we get manhandled. And people think that they're being helpful, and they want to be helpful. For the most part, they want to be helpful, but there are boundaries that people don't seem to think that exist when it comes to a person with a disability. So they'll touch us, so they'll touch our cane or our wheelchair or our walker or our dog. And that's unsafe and it's disrespectful. I could go into the reasons why it's unsafe. I don't think I should have to describe why it's disrespectful if you give it a little thought. I don't think if you were walking down the sidewalk and somebody decided that you looked a little off, and ran up to you and said, "Hey, can I help you?" and grabbed you, I don't think you'd appreciate it, and you might even be afraid. Because let's face it, depending on where we live and depending on, what may have happened to us in the past, somebody just comes up to us and grabs us. That could really trigger somebody. So you have to be really careful with that, with running up and touching someone or grabbing their equipment or anything like that. If it's not yours, don't touch it. Okay, that applies in a lot of different areas, but in this one as well. So, exceptions: a clear safety emergency. If the athlete has specifically asked you to provide a specific type of contact, then that's a different story. Keep communication clear, simple, and predictable. This helps everyone, not just people with disabilities or communication barriers. The rule is one idea at a time, one instruction at a time. So avoid rapid fire commands. Use gestures, descriptive language, and or hands-on demonstrations when the person tells you they'll be helpful. Now remember, say, "May I touch your hands?" Or "Would you like to put your hands on me to see what I'm doing?" One of my coaches showed me a particular way to hold a paddle by standing in front of me and saying, "Feel me, look what I'm doing." Okay. A person has to be comfortable with that. If you're not comfortable having someone touch you, particularly a stranger or someone you don't know, you don't have to do that. You have boundaries too. Okay. So if you don't want someone touching you, then maybe ask somebody else, "Hey, listen, could you assist with this? Could you show him or her how to do this?" And you could then describe it. And a reminder to those who are also helping with volunteers: please don't treat anyone or make anyone feel odd for doing that. There really are people who are uncomfortable being touched for one reason or another. So if One volunteer goes up to another and says, listen, I really want to show so and so how to do this. I really want him to be able to touch. And he said he'd be willing to touch and feel how it's done, but I'm not honestly comfortable with somebody touching me. So could you please show them? Please, please don't don't judge someone for feeling that they need to do that. Everybody needs to be comfortable, and that includes everybody, not just those of us with disabilities. So let's all respect each other's boundaries. Um, when you're communicating, especially when you're dealing with different languages, different cultures, when you're dealing with, somebody who's reading lips, perhaps, if you happen to be somebody who speaks very quickly, avoid idioms, sarcasm, or complex phrasing if there's a communication barrier. Now, I definitely have a problem with forgetting about sarcasm. I'm like, sarcasm's my middle name, so I have a little trouble with that. And sometimes I got to remember, but try to remember that. Of course, if somebody says to me, "Oh, please do be sarcastic with me. I love it," then by all means, go right ahead. All right. Don't assume help is needed. Ask first. Many athletes prefer independence and have compensatory techniques for navigating unfamiliar environments. Compensatory, they are compensating for what you might do differently because you don't have a disability. So they found a way to do it. They found a way to compensate, and it may look weird to you or it may look uncomfortable to you. But if they look comfortable and they look like they're good, then you don't have to worry about it. So an easy example for me as a person who's blind, and again, I invite anyone after this who is not a person who's blind to give an example from your perspective. But here's an example. If I'm walking in a new environment and it's crowded and I'm shorting up on the cane because I don't want to nab somebody in the ankles, or trip somebody, I'm going to slow myself down quite a bit because I'm going to try really hard to use my cane to get through a situation. And I'm trying really hard not to hit into somebody. So it looks like I'm kind of, hesitant and worried and lost. It's probably just because I'm trying to get through a very noisy, disorienting situation and I don't want to trip somebody, especially if I hear a stroller nearby, if I hear a wheelchair nearby, if I hear little kids running around. I'm going to be extra cautious with my cane. Also, if I'm in a new environment, even if I'm in a quiet building, if I'm walking through the building and I've never been there before, let's say there's a column in the middle of a hallway as I'm walking down the hallway. If I don't have facial vision or I don't have residual vision, I'm probably going to be hitting that column with my cane. And then I'll drift over maybe to a wall and follow the wall. But just because my cane hits something, whether it's the chairs in a food court, in a mall, or something like that, that doesn't mean it's awkward to me. It doesn't mean that I'm, feeling, oh my goodness, my cane keeps hitting things. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay. So I know that it looks awkward for people who who can go through a building, just look where they're going and zip, zip, zip by. Okay. But for a person with a cane, their cane is giving them the information. And if the cane doesn't bump into something, then it's not giving them any information. So even though it looks awkward and like, oh, I just want to help them, the cane just keeps hitting everything. This place is so crowded and it makes you uncomfortable. That's what we do. That's what the cane is for. So don't let it spoil your day. There we're bumping into things with the cane. Okay, offer help as a question, not a grab. So the examples are, do you want information about what's ahead? Some people love when you describe things to them. Or they might say to you, a person who's blind might say, what's going on over there? People are laughing. Can you see what's going on? And you might say, I have no idea. I'm just as clueless as you are, but it does sound like they're having fun. So sometimes we'll be really curious about what happens. Now, I will tell you that if something problematic occurs, so let's say somebody falls into the water, okay, and people are, oh my goodness, we're going to be, for those of us who can't see it or those of us who can't hear exactly what's going on, we're going to want to know what's going on because we're going to be concerned and we're going to want to, is there any way we can help? Or what's happening? Is there some way that we can, be of assistance here? Or we're just concerned for our fellow human beings. What happened? Is everybody okay? If somebody could just, step back and let us know somebody just fell into the water, it looks like they're okay, somebody's going in the water, or a boat just capsized, somebody's under there, but they're coming out. Let us know what's going on, because just like you, when we hear something's going on and we think something's going on, we want to either be helpful or we want to know if there's a problem and we need to hightail it out of there for some reason. Okay. So some of these others are, would you like to take my elbow? Would you like me to step back? Do you need me to steady the boat, or are you good? If they say no, respect it. Give control back immediately. When an athlete accepts help, they should always stay in control of the interaction. So examples are, tell me how fast you want to go. Tell me when you're ready to move. You can stop me anytime. Okay, they instruct, you adapt. If I'm walking with someone or you're walking with someone and they're not saying anything to you and they're not pulling back on your arm or they're not lagging behind you, and they don't seem to be uncomfortable, everything's good. Don't worry. They'll let you know. Okay. This one is also important. This is just as important as not grabbing. Um, Prioritize privacy and dignity. Do not discuss a person's disability, equipment, or medical condition publicly or loudly. Do not ask invasive personal questions. If you wouldn't ask a stranger in a grocery store, don't ask. Some of us may be the type who would ask a person in a grocery store. Don't. Um, let's try to reframe, asking somebody very interesting questions in a grocery store and carry that along to the others that you meet on a more frequent basis. Recognizing when safety does require action. Disability alone is not a safety or medical risk. We've covered that before. However, volunteers and others should be prepared to recognize specific cues, especially with athletes who have disclosed medical conditions. Possible signs of medical concern. Well, I'm sure that there are some of you here who have some CPR training, first aid training. I'm a certified Red Cross instructor myself. So those of you will obviously recognize the usual signs and you will know the check, call, care situation. But if you don't, possible signs of medical concern are sudden fatigue beyond typical exertion, confusion or disorientation that are unrelated to the sensory disability, dizziness, sweating, or pallor, trouble breathing or speaking, a request for medical support, symptoms the athlete has mentioned to watch out for. Respond to the symptoms, not your assumptions. If something appears wrong, ask first, are you okay? And of course, if they can't answer you, having trouble answering you, then you then have permission to make some assumptions about the fact that they need help. Do you need support? Notify staff or medical personnel. Support the athlete respectfully while following event protocols. This is also a situation where you can be a support for that person. A lot of times, medical and safety personnel freak out extra when there's a person with a disability who needs medical assistance. They start doing all those things that drive us crazy. So you there can be as an assistant for that person in, if they cannot speak for themselves, or if they're not, if they've just about had it because they're not feeling well, you then can be a spokesperson for them. You can even say to them, do you want me to handle this? That's a very tricky line too, and I'll tell you why. We often come into situations where if we as people with disabilities are with someone who does not appear to have a disability, people will automatically communicate with that person. And they will ask, is she okay? What can I get her? He looks like he's uncomfortable. Are you with him? Um, so we get that a lot. And so what you don't want to do is overstep and immediately respond. You give the person with a disability an opportunity to respond. Usually what my friends do when I'm out and about with them is they'll say, I don't know, ask her. She can speak. Ask her. Why are you asking me? Okay, so how can volunteers navigate uncertainty when you're unsure of how to help? And again, this is not just volunteers, this is any of us. Use these three questions as a guide. Would you like help? How would you like me to help? Is this working for you or should I adjust? These allow the athlete to set boundaries, communicate preferences, direct the interaction from a position of autonomy. When in doubt, communicate and do not assume. So the philosophy that the volunteers and anyone else, all of us should remember is every athlete is different. Every disability is experienced differently. Every interaction should be athlete led. Respect, clarity, consent, and flexibility are the essentials. If the volunteers or anyone else follows this framework, and that means all of us, ask, wait, and adapt, will almost always be on the right track. So if anybody has any questions or comments, pushback, whatever you might want to share, this is the time to do it.
So if you have questions, if you can either write them in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll call on you accordingly. I have to say, Christine, that's a pretty amazing toolkit you gave us.
Well, I
Great
hope it's
information.
helpful.
Anyone with questions?
Hey, everyone, a lot of you know me, and so you don't have to be shy around me because I ain't shy. So just whip out those questions or whip out those comments and let's hear them. And if you have any suggestions either now or going forward, I would love to get some feedback on this. And so if anybody, particularly those with different disabilities, if you have anything that you'd like to add and tell me that you want me to add it, I will be sure to add it going forward.
Anyone?
See what's tomorrow there.
Hi, Rich Barrientos.
Rich,
Hi,
hey.
everybody. Christine, hi. I remember
Hey, how
you
are you?
from Puerto Rico last
Yeah.
year, and
Yep.
we'll see you again this year.
No,
I'm
unfortunately, you won't. Very
oh
disappointed to say that. I
oh
was
no.
actually going to ask if I could be a captain again,
I could do
but
like 2 or 3 o'clock,
we
3
can't
o'clock.
come. We have a family emergency,
Yeah,
and
3 o'clock would be good. I have to leave at
somebody's.
5, but yes, 3 o'clock would be good.
Yep, somebody
I
needs
don't
to
think
put
she
their
realized she's not muted.
That's
yeah.
Um,
good. You got my address,
We can
right?
talk over her.
so
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I
That's so
so
nice of you. Thank you
as I
so
was
much.
saying,
Super
yeah,
great.
we have a
Thank you.
family emergency. We have
Bye.
somebody ill in the family, whom we're very concerned about. We're also really concerned that we might be hurtling towards another shutdown, and if that happens, I won't have any money coming in. So, um,
Understood.
so unfortunately, we had to make that decision last minute.
Well, my comment is thank you very much for you're very concise and very to the point, and I'm very happy to rehear all of the things that as a supporter of the Paradragons, and it just strengthens me and also reminds me that I make mistakes all the time with our para athletes, and it's a huge reminder, and I always have to continue to remind myself of all that you've spoken about, and particularly the touching because I am a toucher.
Yeah.
And I totally understand that people.
Actually, on that note, I just wanted to say this for people who are deaf or hard of hearing, if they don't hear you, okay, and if you know that somebody has a hearing disability, one thing that you can say from the outset is, if I need to get your attention and you can't hear me, um, how do you want me to get your attention? This way, you're not like grabbing their hand or punching them in the shoulder or whatever it happens to be. Ask them what their preference is. And that's a situation where you may have to write it down and say, so and so prefers me to touch their right hand or tap their right shoulder. This way, you know exactly what that person would prefer in order to get their attention.
Thank you. Perfect reminder. And I've worked with Michael Yu this past year, and it's definitely Yeah, we just need to speak up. And then also, many of our para athletes are definitely hearing impaired. And great reminder, because they might look at you, but they don't hear you.
Yeah.
So thank you. And again, thank you again for putting this on. Very to the point, and I'm hoping to bring para dragons and para paddlers in particular to the Pacific Northwest, where we have very low representation, and I'm hopefully speaking to coaches amongst our area, and then also players in our area to
You looking at Oregon or Washington or where?
Washington, yeah, Pacific Northwest. I specifically Western Washington, the Tacoma port or Tacoma, Seattle,
Nice.
and Gig Harbor.
So where
Uh,
they'll need wetsuits when they're out on the water.
oh no, that's not true. But thank you again. I just wanted to just chime in and let's just let you know we really appreciate the information. It's something that we don't get the opportunity to find resources that you're providing. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And Rich, we're here as a resource for you when you're ready.
Yeah, I know. You know what? You're on my list.
Yep, I figured.
You're on the good list.
Uh-oh.
I'm
There's a
going to
list.
jump in
There's
here
a
for a
list.
second as well as Marinka's left hand at times, I think, that we want everybody's input and we want you to support us, Paradragons USA. Christine, you did a great job.
Thank you.
It's, we'll get this out further. I know that to a wider audience. And I can harass the hell out of people, as people who know me know that. But
Pass away.
we'll definitely get it out there. But yeah, anybody who has interest in paras, I just sent out an email today to every SRDBA president about some things that we're able to do to the community in the Southeast region. As well as I got a call today from a recently blind paddler. He became blind recently. And he's not a paddler yet. He was actually going out to golf when he spoke to me. But nonetheless, it's just one paddler at a time. I don't know if he's on this call tonight. If not, I know we're recording it. It'll be available. But I want to thank you. And again, for everybody else, just go out there and support what we're doing as well and get our name out there. We've made a lot of progress in the last year, thanks to Marinka running all over the place.
All right. Sounds good.
This is Anna. I just wanted to mention a comment in the chat. It's from Jennifer Hager. She said, "I've been assisting a blind paddler, and it's extremely important to tell them you're leaving and coming back."
Yes. Oh, that's so annoying. Like you'll be and they'll talk to you, and then all of a sudden you'll say something, and you feel so stupid because you're talking to yourself. You're like, where'd they go? And it's really embarrassing because like people think you're talking to no one. Like that person doesn't know there's no one there. So yeah, so please remember to do that. I'll be right back. Give me a couple of minutes, whatever it happens to be. It is a hard thing to remember because let's face it, most of you are used to just, you talk to somebody, you drift away, you go to do something, and it's not second nature. So you're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So, just you learn.
I think that is the most common mistake.
Yeah.
I can say that I've done it at least half a dozen times. I've left a blind paddler on the dock. And with Michael Yu, though, sometimes I do that on purpose. Or sometimes I tell Rick Muller to give him a punch in the shoulder just to know who's around him.
Michael on the call.
No,
He's not.
Anyway, that was my comment.
Anyone else with any comments or questions?
This
As
is
Lonnie had
recorded,
mentioned,
right?
yes, it is being recorded.
Okay, so I can watch this later on. Thank you. I missed part
Who
of it.
is that? I don't know who that is.
I sent you an email.
I
Yeah,
didn't
so when
that
we're
you were
done
going to
with
be on the
this,
call. I didn't know that you were going to be on the call.
I had it on my calendar, but I didn't have the link.
Oh, okay. All right then.
so
I had
yes,
to
we
do
will
some
be sending
research.
out the link to the video as well as the para toolkit that Christine was kind enough to put together for us.
Cool. Thank you.
But one of the things I
Absolutely.
wanted to reiterate that Lonnie had mentioned is we are always learning from the people that we work with, be it paras or support paddlers or coaches, because everyone always has something to contribute. So
Yep.
even though this is already a really great toolkit, um, there may be something we need to add to it.
That's right.
We consider it a living document. It's one of the reasons why if you've ever been to one of our camps, the first thing we do, even when you just register for camp, is we ask, what do you need from us to support you? Because as Christine had mentioned, not every disability is the same. Not every person wants to be treated the same. So you need to have we need to learn from you. So do you want us to help you in and out of the boat? Do you want to, is it okay if we touch you to help you with your form? Whatever it may be, we need to be able to work with each and every individual. Anybody else?
It's Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie, how are
Hey, how
you?
are
Hey
you
there.
guys? Hi, Christine. I think I've seen your name around with the NFB. But anyway,
You
it's
probably have.
really nice to hear you here. I will have to swap some stories of all the paddling and stuff like that. But I wanted to thank you for this presentation. It was really good.
Sure thing.
Anybody else?
Christine, actually, this is Anna again. I have a question. So I want your advice on how to navigate a certain situation when, blind paddlers are after a race, step out of the boat, you walk back to your tent or whatever, and you have members from other teams that want to cheer for you, want to high five you or tap you on the shoulders. Sometimes I'm not sure how that is perceived. So can you give us some guidance on how to navigate these situations?
Are you concerned that people are feeling like oh, they're making a big deal because I'm blind, or are you
No, the
concerned about
touching part of it,
touching?
because they
Okay.
actually tap you on the shoulder and you don't know who that person is or something like this, or
Yeah,
they want to high five you.
I would say that on average, and we can get some feedback from others. I would say that on average, in that particular situation, people will generally understand what's happening, and that people are just trying to get your attention and let you know that they're talking to you. Um, you may have, but again, it's a good question, because there are people who really don't like to be touched. Whether that's because there's another disability involved, or because they have had issues with being touched. So there's really a very, it's that's a very difficult way to a very difficult line. So what I would recommend doing is just saying, go collective, as people are, or go team, Kirk, whatever it happens to be, whatever, as they're passing. Because if people can see or people know which team they're part of, if they're close by and they hear them saying go collective, then they'll know that it's directed at the team. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to reach everybody. It's not like somebody can go up to the microphone and go, hey, just a general PSA. If you see a blind person passing by, you want to congratulate them, don't run up and grab them. Just, that would be out of control, embarrassing, and we're like, really? You're calling attention to us like that? So I think the safest thing to do would be to step close and just say, congratulations, whatever the name of their team is, you folks did a great job, or something like that. Now, if somebody knows somebody, they can say, hey, so and so, great job. And that's the easiest way to resolve it. If somebody knows the name of a person and says, hey, so and so, that was a great job, then there's no touching involved. They just say it. And also, another way to handle that too is to say to somebody, listen, I just want you to know that people are going up to people and tapping them on the shoulder and congratulating them. It's not just you guys, it's just a general way that people congratulate. So don't get startled if somebody runs up and taps you on the shoulder and congratulates you. You can handle it that way as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
For me, I know when people are coming off the boats and you're standing there and say, I'm going to congratulate somebody, if I keep my my right hand up or whatever, my guide, they'll usually be like behind me and they're naming the person coming up, like especially if it's your own team or
Right.
friendly team that they'll say, here's Bob. Okay, oh Bob, okay. And so that I can get to say, hey Bob, great job or whatever. And
That's excellent.
they name all the people to me as they're coming down. And that's really helpful. So I know whose hand's going to slap my hand next.
Right.
So that's kind
Right.
of cool. Otherwise, I just hold on to their elbow when I'm coming out and they're congratulating me, going through the line. I just hold my hand up and I just slap all the hands.
Right.
I have no idea who it is, actually, but
There you go.
Debbie, there are times where we don't even know who it is. They just everybody's
yeah,
hand
true,
slapping and come
exactly.
down.
Yeah, right.
Well, and that's something that's an interesting thing bring up too. A lot of times, because people don't think deeply about this stuff most of the time. So a lot of times, other teams, particularly teams that are not para teams, they'll think, wow, those people are so standoffish. They don't say anything to us. They don't congratulate us. We're congratulating them. Well, if I don't see you there or I'm talking to you, but I don't know what team you're part of, I can't very well say, hey, your team did really great. I heard you won the silver. If I don't know, I can't interact on that level. And unfortunately, people, we're not thinking that deeply most of the time we're a little self-absorbed when we're athletes. We want people to recognize our team. We did a good job. We worked really hard. We want to be recognized. And so we're saying, hey, collective, awesome, awesome. And we're expecting something back. Oh yeah, you guys did a great job earlier. But if I don't know, I can't do that. And unfortunately, sometimes people think that that's because we're just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're paras and we get all the recognition. Screw the rest of you people, whatever. But that's not what we're thinking. It's just because we don't have the information to go on. So that does set up. It can be a social barrier in that way, because we can't give the kind of feedback and interaction that athletes who are competing often do with each other.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, then with that said, Christine, we're kind of losing you on the video. You sat back
Oh,
a little bit, so there
okay.
you go.
There we go. See, now that was extremely helpful. Okay, because since I don't think about the video, right? So to me, it's like whatever the video, and I try to remember, when I'm presenting and stuff like that. It's especially hard in Zoom. Like if I'm in front of people in an audio in a room, I remember that I have to try to make eye contact as much as possible with the people out in front of me in the theater seats. But in a situation like this, that was really helpful to remind me, hey, Christine, those of us who can't see you. You disappeared. So that was really helpful.
You're welcome. You sat back and you got comfortable.
That's right. Hey,
Hey,
So
I
with
just
that said,
had a quick
Bonnie,
idea, Marinka. Hang on. You need to take her on the road.
I'm willing.
She's really good.
This was fantastic, Christine. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So as I had mentioned, everyone, after this, you'll be getting an email with a link to the video as well as this document as an attachment. So you will have this information. We do ask that please share it. This is not proprietary just to us and no one else would have it. But we want to make sure that we share it with other people.
Also,
And
Marika, please feel free to share my information in the event that any Paradragon team or any coaches or any other team that is looking to start a Paradragon division, if they want me to come speak to them, either in person or virtually, if they just have questions, if somebody wants to email me, text me, and ask me questions, I'm happy to do that.
thank you, Christine. And one last question. If you have a toolkit for communicating with hearing impaired paddlers, do you have anything specific for hearing impaired?
Not specific. I mean, I can pull, I honestly feel like the best thing to do would be to ask a person with a hearing impairment to pull that together if they're comfortable doing so. But if you don't, I can work on it, and I do have, we have two hearing impaired people on our team now, one who's vision impaired and hearing impaired, and one who's deaf and sighted. So I can definitely ask her if she can pull some things together for you, and I will send it along.
And we do have a video that we put together for drummer signs for the hearing impaired.
Great.
Peaches, your hand is up. Did you still have a question? Peaches?
Oh, that was the question. Yes.
Oh, okay, because your hand's
That
still
was
up.
okay. All right.
Okay.
I will try to look into that right away.
Up. Winnie, you're up. Oh, Winky, sorry. Winky, you've got your hand raised. Winky? Okay.
Maybe not.
Maybe. Well, if Winky has a question, she can always just
She can
contact
ask me.
True, she can ask you.
She knows where I live, in fact. So
I would think so.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. We did, Marinka, I wanted to say that the drumming cues last year worked wonderful for us when we had just begun bringing in the hearing impaired on our team. So it was really nice.
Oh, great to hear. Thank you.
I found my mic. Bye.
Just out of curiosity, is Chris from Adaptive Adventures on the call?
He is not.
Okay, I've been trying to reach him, and because there was a gentleman from Philadelphia who wanted to get involved, and he's in a wheelchair, and I had reached out on his behalf a couple of months ago, but I never heard back. So just
Christine, we'll talk offline and we can fill you in on that.
Okay, great.
All right. Anybody else? As we're winding down here. Okay, I'm going to call it. Again, thank you all for taking the time to actually join us tonight. Christine, once again, your expertise in this area is fantastic. It is so helpful. And yes, we will make sure that if people have any questions or have any concerns or are looking for some guidance, that you're available to help them out.
Okay, sounds good. So everybody have a great time in Puerto Rico, and I hope that I'll be able to come to one of the other camps coming up in the future. So
we do have 2 camps coming up. One will be on the West Coast in Folsom at the end of April. And then we've got the Myrtle Beach camp, which is just for paras only. And we do have a few spaces available at the beginning of April.
Okay.
So if you'd like some more information on that, contact
send me
directly.
more information about that. Definitely.
Absolutely. Oh, no, Christine, you're on my list already. But if anybody else wants any information on upcoming camps, let us know. We're also planning on putting together a team to compete at Can-Am in Montreal in July. So more information is going to be coming out on that.
All right.
And with that, then, everyone have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'll be getting information out to everybody shortly. And then
All
thank
right.
you again,
Everybody be safe.
Christine.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.